Hey everybody. So I'm going to look at moving an application from Laravel to N8N. Now, I've been wanting to share this video for a while. I just had to finish the migration and look at some of the benefits now that we've moved it over. So what I'll do is I'll give you an application overview implementation, and then I'll go down the particular list of what we saved in time and money potentially. Okay, the application itself is an opt-out system and it's not a lot of code. So this will be a small system and it will check emails coming in. It sends them all to a database. And then if the emails are related to a domain we have to manage, it will then parse the email with an LLM to get the opt-out information, person's name, address, and whatnot. And then it calls the API to then scrub that data from the database. Once it gets a response back from the API, it will then just know it's been sent. We then let Mailtrap know, send it to Mailtrap, and then we wait for a Mailtrap webhook. So that's the gist of the system. It was built last year in Laravel with Filament. We had some issues, and I'll talk about those after, but they're not just Laravel issues. They're just overall what it means as a team or even an individual to have to deal with code over time, systems and updating, errors and tracking and managing those, even though we use Sentry and all the stuff that we know work in our particular industry. So the system itself has been around almost a year. Yeah, a year this month. Our team's just me and one other developer. But again, coding styles vary and you go from one person to the next, how they did things. So we save there, and then the support, you can just jump in at any time to fix a bug now that it's in N8N. I'll touch on that more in a moment. So what we're going to do is look at some of the N8N screens. So basically the email screen is the most simple of all. It just listens for emails coming in, and when they hit, we do a little bit of work on them and then put them in the database. This way, no matter what happens, we hopefully have a copy of them. Even though the email system has them, it's not the great system. It's like Google Groups email or something. Once we move those over, we're using Supabase in the background. It triggers an event when we write to that database. And that event then tells N8N to do something because it's a webhook. N8N then goes through the process of parsing that email. At this point, the email gets processed so that it gets all the data pulled out that we need. Once that data is out and saved to the database, we then let the API know that we're ready to clean this person out of the system. Now, the API that is this other system, Laravel, says, okay, I'm working on it. And so we mark it as worked on. And then we come back like 5 minutes later and just see if it's done yet. We poll it basically just for simplicity's sake. Pretty much done in a minute or two. Once the poll comes back saying it's done, we try 10 times. Then we send it to Mailtrap. Again, that's what this screen does. It sends it to Mailtrap. It checks every so often. And it saves the Mailtrap ID. Once the Mailtrap system sends us a webhook saying these have been sent or verified, then we know that they've made it through the system. So now we have information and proof that we sent them. Those are a lot of little moving parts. The cost benefits I'll show in these charts. Numbers are always hard, but what you're going to see overall is that we're saving time on the initial implementation for certain. There's no doubt there. From there, we're saving time over the support when we have to jump in to fix something. N8N just has a fabulous way of looking at past executions, and therefore we can just get to things right away, run them over again, check what's wrong with that data at that moment. It's just really hard to beat. One opt-out provider was like changing their format of the email, so we had to go in and fix something. Instead of code, I was able just to go in N8N, find that particular node, add some type of extra node to do something, and we were done. So again, looking at numbers is tricky. I have some numbers here to just show you small versus large and what they could save. What we see though, overall, is that we went from a system that it was Laravel, one server, shared server, one code base that we had to keep up to date, that we had to patch, that we had to go into and fix when we needed to and deploy. Envoy, Forge, all the automations, GitHub Actions. We really didn't have to touch much. We were running as good as we could, in my opinion, for Laravel. But what happened is we are now able to just not do all that stuff. It's just running. It works. There's no big patches to do other than N8N in the server, of course. We could have hosted it with N8N, but I just decided not to. But it would have been good. It just depends on the money. and what your customer wants to pay or client wants to pay. It depends on the size, right? If the customer is a one-off small system, then try it there and see what the benefits are. This customer will have a lot of automations, Slack integrations, and whatnot. Basically, if you want to hear more of these, subscribe to the newsletter. You'll get some deep dive videos, more examples of me moving Laravel to N8N or just starting builds in N8N that I used to do in other like Laravel systems or Cursor, Bolt, Lovable, all these new things. Sign up for the newsletter, link below, subscribe to this channel and share it. And you'll get a lot of these helpful videos that can give you a sense of real world problem solving, not only with N8, but in a lot of these no code, low code tools that are really changing the game, honestly. Thank you.